Hello, listeners. Welcome to our show, Agenda India. Today we have with us Rachit Srivastav. This show primarily focuses on India's relations with its neighbors, and today we are here going to talk with him about Russia in specific. Russia has always been an all-weather friend of India. Relations of both the countries dates back to the era of Soviet Union when it recognized India's independence in 1947. India, which is surrounded by countries which has nothing but enmity, finds solace when it comes to its political equation with Russia. Russia has also supported India's bid to a permanent board at United Nations Security Council. So, to ponder over more on Indo-Russian relations, I have with me Rachit Srivastav, who is a PhD scholar in Russian studies at JNU. So, recently, Rachit, Indian spokesperson confirmed that we shall receive S-400 air defense system from Russia. In the past, well, India has bought INS Vikramaditya and INS Vikrant from Russia. I wanted to ask you why such heavy reliance on Russia only when we have already established good relations with United States.
So thank you, Aditi. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on this topic. And what I feel, not only what I feel, what the Indian security establishment feels is that Russia has been friend of India since so many years, and after independence, due to Cold War, Russia drew closer to India due to its animosity with US, and in order to balance Pakistan in the South Asian region, India was always supported by Russia. So India has been a very good market for Russian products, not only because it was a kind of a trade relation, but it also had diplomatic diplomatic notions attached to it. Since Pakistan was very close to sorry, very close to US during Mrs. Gandhi's time and even before that. So Russia had put its weight behind India in order to counterbalance US influence in South Asia. So given this historical background and the kind of relationship with India and Russian security establishment have and they share, reliance on Russian military equipments and Russian missiles and all. This is not India's weakness. It's a result of much more coordinated effort and much more, the kind of understanding and ease of trade and business with Russia and India. In both the cases, it's there because we already have a very good past of we have had a very good past of good international trade relation with each other, and it's very like these countries, the not only the security establishment, the political establishment each other, dealing with each other and trading. And yes, all these equipments, they proved very helpful in many wars which India fought. For example, India fought war with Pakistan on three very crucial points when Lal Bahadur Shastri was Prime Minister, then when Mrs. Gandhi was Prime Minister and
Hmm.
Bangladesh was created, and then recently, not recently, but yeah, when Mr. Bajpayee was the Prime Minister during Kargil. So in all three wars, Russian equipments, Russian security establishment, and as well as the technology which Indian security forces received from Russia, they have played a very important role. So it's kind of goodwill which the country has generated among the political establishment and the security forces among the nation. So I think that's the main reason. And as far as India is concerned, after 1999, when not 1999, actually after 1991 or 1992, when Soviet Union got disintegrated, and then
Hmm.
so
Yes.
many things were happening in our country as well. So liberalization was there, and then coalition government came in. The one party dominance was over. So India also tried to diversify its trade relation with other countries as well, especially It happened during the time of Vajpayee government, NDA government, when India became very close to US and other Western powers, like France, UK, and Japan, this Germany. So India has tried to diversify its security equipments and not trade with the other countries, but it is kind of difficult uh, to it is kind of difficult to suddenly change the entire the chords of the this thing. Like we have had a very it's like we have had very good relations with Russians, and Russians understand our demand and they supply this thing, and we've had very good relations with the Russian political establishment, the leaders and the the people who are heading the country. So suddenly diversifying from Russia to other countries, it it's you see, it's very easy to say than done, because suddenly diversify. India is also not India was not ready. I would not say it was not ready, but yeah, the technology which US uses or which the other Western countries they are very different from the technology which Russia uses. And our security forces they are already trained with these kind of technologies. So now suddenly changing to the other kind of technology, and then the cost plays a very important role. Russian equipments are still available at a cheaper price if you compare
Hmm.
to other products or other missiles or defense equipments from other countries, especially the US. And
Right.
then as far as US is concerned, see, I don't want to be very this thing, but US has always sold its products to all the countries except Russia, whether it's China or Pakistan or this thing. So we can really not rely on a country like what our security establishments have this thing in mind, and we really cannot rely on that technology which our enemy also possesses,
Okay.
because when we have a particular kind of technology which the enemy is unaware of, so we can have an edge over our enemies or the other countries who may attack us. But if they in their own game and in their own field, so I think that's there. And then it's cost effective as well. Already these defense equipments are not very cheap, they come at a higher, but still if you compare it with US or UK or France, like we have had this Rafale deal. Rafale deal is very
Hmm.
good. Rafale is a very good
Yes.
fighter jet. But if you see the cost, like yeah, definitely the cost is we have got at a lesser price as compared to the other countries. But still, if you compare, if you talk about country like India, India still has so many other requirements to fulfill. India is still a developing country. India is not a developed country yet. So spending so much on defense already, we have a very 125 billion population to feed and to take care of, and then spending on security budget, it has to be like, yes, we have to prioritize it, but we also need some rationalization of budgeting, because
Hmm.
everything we cannot give in security. So mainly these are it's a mixture of all the resources, economic, social, political. I think all these factors
So,
they come
yeah. So, do you believe that
and they
the
come
buying of
together and play. Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Please continue. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah. So I'm saying that all these factors they play a very important role in our in India's heavy reliance on Russia for its security or armed trades or products or purchase. That's what I think.
Rachit, I also would like to know that since last few years, Russia has been on an expansionist spree. Like it has stationed its troops, tanks, and artillery in its neighboring nation Ukraine, and it has also annexed the Crimean Peninsula from the small nation. Then NATO forces stationed in Europe are already giving a tough fight to Russian troops. So, in this particular scenario, do you think that this could start another era of Cold War politics? And if yes, whose side would India and should India take if such a scenario arises?
See, Aditi, when I hear a question, I'm very amused to hear a question because it sounds like a typical media person question. they are always fond of Cold War and they're fascinated with Cold War. Cold War is going as some TV series or soap is coming, episode one, episode two, episode three. Cold
Right,
War is
right.
not possible. Cold War is not an option today's era. Cold War with whom?
Cold War
Point is,
basically it maybe would start from Russia, from Ukraine
no,
or
no,
some
no.
European
Sorry
East
to
European
sorry to cut
nations.
you short. Sorry to cut you short. Sorry to
Yeah.
cut you short. It was a sarcastic comment. It was not. It was not an explanatory fashion. It was a sarcastic comment. Cold War with whom? With whom will they fight this? Because now in the time of globalization, everything is so interlinked. And if you see after coronavirus pandemic, do you think any country can afford to wage war against it? Because all of them are so corona ravaged country. All of them are facing so much
Hmm.
problem because of the disease. So the world has altogether very different set of problems to deal with. And now coming to Cold War era and kind of Cold War rivalry, I don't think so. It's going to the world is not going to face another Cold War. I would say it can be like Russia is not expanding. It's not expanding. It's reclaiming. Ukraine was always a Crimea, not Ukraine. Crimea was always a Russian territory, which was gifted to Ukraine as a gift.
Hmm.
So Russia is taking back that gift. Although it's not a right gesture. A given gift should not be taken back. But still, now Russia, the establishment changed. The Soviet Union era ended, and now with Putin coming up, and Putin is a hardcore realpolitik leader. He works on realism. He doesn't believe in
Hmm.
the
Real politics.
real
When
politics.
we talk
Yeah.
about real politics.
So, and then he wants to reclaim all the land which was given away to other countries. Already he
Hmm.
regrets that
Hmm.
Soviet Union disintegrated, and he always want to bring Russia to back to its old glorious days when it was spanning from Europe to Far East and then Southern
Right,
Asian,
right.
Central Asian regions as well.
To East
So,
European
given
nations.
that thing, I don't think it is wrong on the part of Russia to take Crimea back. One may question the way it was taken back,
Hmm.
but the whole idea or the whole the process of taking back, I don't think it's wrong. The method can be wrong. Absolutely, it should have been done in a much better way. But I don't think taking back Crimea is wrong because expansion means when you claim on somebody else's territory. But Russia is claiming back its own territory. And if you talk about putting up naval bases or the missiles in other countries, then what is USA doing? USA has
Hmm.
put missiles in so many countries. US reached up to Central Asian region in Uzbekistan, Kiev and Tashikhanabad in
I would
Tur-
like to interrupt you for a while. Just a minute. Just a minute. Yes. Yes. So you were
uh,
telling something. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. So, what if we talk about Russia and it's that, like taking back Crimea is an expansionist policy of Russia? Then what about US's action in all other countries? US has meddled in internal affairs of so many countries, whether it is
Hmm.
West
Hmm.
Asia, whether it is Central Asia, whether it is South Asia, whether it's Europe. USA has its naval bases and air bases in so many countries. So I don't think protecting one's own country from other countries or other enemies aggression is wrong, or it's an expansionist tendency. I would say it's a kind of a tit for tat strategy of Russia. So whatever US did,
Hmm.
and Russia felt threatened by it, and especially after this Crimea episode, Russia was punished more than what it deserved. It was no so much of restrictions were put on Russia, and so
Sanctions
many
and
countries were
restrictions. Right.
yeah, so many countries were asked by US not to trade with Russia. So many impositions were imposed on it. I don't think this is a correct way to. It's like hanging a thief. A person has theft something and you are hanging it. It's yeah. It may have had the US or the United Nations or the WTO would have dealt it with a very different way. Yeah, some arm twisting can one can understand, But outrightly making a state pariah and outrightly rejecting, isolating one thing, it's not good. It's not good, and it's not good for themselves. It's not good for US and the other countries as well who have stopped trading with Russia, because the
Hmm.
world has to gain so much if we interact with each other, if we communicate with each other, and if we do things like if we just put a ban on control or isolate it, then the world is not going to get any benefit. And if we compare this, if we see the action of West as far as Russia is concerned, then what did they do with China? Did they ban China, or did
Hmm.
they isolate China after COVID? Because
No.
we know that this virus, the epicenter of this virus was China. It may be a man-made virus, it may be a natural virus, whatsoever. But Chinese authorities, they have blatantly hidden this entire episode of coronavirus from the world for a very long time, and because of their secrecy and because of their actions, the world is
Right.
facing problems for last 2 years. So if attacking Crimea or taking back Crimea is a crime as far as US and UN this worldview is concerned, then coronavirus
Your
has
voice is
taken
breaking.
so much of so many lives. So I don't think it was justified on part of US or UK or other countries to put a ban on Russia, or to cut off all the trade links with Russia. So I think what Putin is doing, it's giving them piece of their own cake, piece of their own medicine.
You are
So
right in
there
a
is nothing.
way. Like as such, you said that when we talk about China also, China is also an
Mm.
expansion state. It has occupied such many territories of India too, like upside
And
Chennai, Himachal Pradesh.
China has actually expanded. It's not like China is taking back. It's China is actually expanded. If you see Taiwan, if you see Hong Kong, if you see
Hmm.
Tibet, if you see Arunachal, China has come to even Bhutan, Nepal. Every neighbor of China has a problem with that country. With talk about Japan, that those islands, I forgot the name of the island. China has problem with every neighbor. As far as Russia is concerned, Russia is much more having much more cordial relation, and it's very
Hmm.
amusing to see US puts blame on Russia for everything, and US is Russia's neighbor, Alaska.
Hmm. Right. Right.
Then
Right.
it's like fighting with your own neighbor. We have already always been told you should not fight with your neighbors, because neighbors will come to your rescue at the time of crisis. And US is going in another direction. He's always fighting with his neighbor.
So you see Vladimir Putin as a savior, right? He actually, in a way, is reclaiming all that lost
Actually,
territory.
I'm not saying Vladimir Putin is a savior. Vladimir Putin has his whole personal interest, and he's rightfully going after fulfilling those interests. But I am saying what Vladimir Putin is doing is not something which is out of the box. It's like,
Hmm.
if you disturb me, I'll disturb you. So if
Right. Right.
US is creating unnecessary problems for Russia, then why would Russian authorities will keep quiet and will face all the
Right,
injustices
yeah,
done to them
it's a,
by
it's a
Western
realist
countries?
scenario. In a realist scenario,
Yeah.
Russia would respond to such activities if
Hmm.
its own sovereignty is being tampered with, right?
Hmm. And if
So
you
you
see what
mentioned,
US has
hmm,
done to other countries, and what the mess it has created in world, I think US deserves the most punishment from all the
true,
countries of the world.
true,
US and Britain. Britain for
together,
its
right,
past deeds because of colonialism, and US because of its present deeds after
right.
Cold War and after World War II, whatever it did. So it's wrong to blame Russia for all.
So recently, Russian President Vladimir Putin visited India. Uh, could you please could you please elaborate on what's your takeaway with his visit? What should be our takeaway with his visit? Is it about the going bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and Putin, or is it about Putin seeking friendship and support from India to cover up its own expansionism or not expansionism as such, to protect its sovereignty as such?
See, as far as Putin's India's visit is concerned, it's a very important visit. It's a very important landmark, I would say, in the history of Indo-Russian relations. After what we see, what has happened in the past year in 2020, Putin came to India Russia annual summit personally
Right.
this year, because and all the previous summits, as far as this summit which happened of G23 countries, I don't know, some or October or somewhere September, as recent that Putin attended all the meetings online through video conferencing.
Right. True.
Putin did not Putin did not come personally to attend the meeting.
Yeah. And also,
And you
when
know
I was
what is
researching about this topic to basically to interview about this topic, I also got to know about that it was his maiden visit to India post the pandemic.
Yeah, and not only maiden visit, it is more important after seeing what happened in the previous year. You know what happened last year? This meeting was cancelled.
Hmm.
This meeting did not even happen virtually because there was a tension among Indo-Russian relations, and that was a very because Indian Russian authorities were miffed with the Indian this thing because they were apparently very close to um, Donald Trump administration and all the things. And after coronavirus thing happened, so Russia was also, and then so many other sanctions were put on Russia by US. So last year there were some strains in Indo-Russian relations,
So where was
and I
India
would
all this when sanctions were being imposed on Russia? Did India help
uh,
Russia in
uh, uh,
a moral support, give
uh,
them moral support?
Aditi, I would just like to mention one thing, that this visit of Putin was very, very good, very, very fruitful. And Putin, no, he himself came from all the way from Russia to India to
Right.
mend all the relationship which we had some jerks last year, which got some jerks last year. So he came here to mend the relationship. He could have easily attended this meeting online, but Putin personally came and to mend its relationship with the Indian authorities and Prime Minister and other security establishments,
Hmm.
because Russia still gives very much importance to India. And if, as far as Modi is concerned, Modi government also received President Putin very well. So it was a very both the security establishments of both the countries, they must have realized that we need each other. We need each other. We have a very symbiotic relationship and we benefit from each other. We cannot leave each other like that. So it was, I would say, a very good gesture. It was actually, I would say, it was not a bonfire between two presidents, because Indo-Russian relations are not tied to individuals. They are not tied to personalities. They are tied to country, people to people, culture to culture. There's more to it. Like we can say, like Modi has very good our prime minister Mr. Modi has a very good relation with the US prime minister or other things, erstwhile prime minister,
Hmm.
sorry, erstwhile president and other people. But as far as Indo-Russia relations is concerned, it has a very historical background. It is not maybe today Modi or Putin are there, tomorrow maybe some other leaders will be there, but this relationship will definitely go on because it's not related to one leader or one government or one regime. It has a very rich historical background, people to
So
people
it could be
connection. We have
said that there is a continuity. There is a good continuity between Indo-Russian
Yes,
relations.
yes, there is a continuity. There was a hiatus last year
Hmm.
in the relationship between India and Russia, but it has come back on track. And I'm actually being a student of Russian studies. I'm very happy that both the leaders, they understood that some mistakes happened from both the sides,
Hmm.
and they have learned from their mistakes, and they have pledged to move forward and
Move
move
forward. Hmm.
forward to take their relationship to a next level, to a next height, to a new height. And all the MOUs, there were like some 28, 29 MOUs signed between India and Russia. And those MOUs had very good, like when they'll be implemented, it will have a very good impact on our relation, and as well as the people of both the countries, as well as the security of both the countries are concerned. Because we have had so much of military, still we see winged military deals, military agreements with Russia, and Russia is ready to give us this technology and those like military equipments and
Hmm.
missile for our defense. And given this Chinese threat, Chinese sitting on our head,
Right.
It is very, very important to counterbalance. See, it's very important for us also to engage with Russia, because if we will not engage with Russia, Chinese will take quick opportunity. They will quickly
Hmm.
use this opportunity to turn this entire game in their favor. This
The
game
same
of
with which
this.
the same thing which they have done with Sri Lanka by surpassing
Hmm.
India. They have built a Haman
Hmm.
port
So
and
it's very important, and similarly, it is also important for Russia to engage with India. And then again, if they will not engage with India, India will slip back to US
right,
camp.
right, right. And
So,
lose
so
a
we need each other. We
many.
need each other. We cannot disengage with each.
So can we say that as India is moving ahead by engaging with the informal forums? This is my last question to you. So as India
Mhm.
is moving ahead by engaging with other informal forums like Quad and AUKUS. So in the end, I would like to ask that with all this become a factor of irritability somewhere between India and Russia, or else how do you see the future of Indo-Russian bonhomie or relations as such?
See, I would say these whatever groups, AUKUS or Quad or whatever new groups may come in future, as you have already mentioned, they are not factors of irritability, but factors of discomfort, I would say.
Okay.
They
Hmm.
have caused a discomfort between both the countries, and some amount of discomfort would always be there, because see, we don't live in pre-Cold War, pre 1991 era. Now we live in globalization, era of globalization. So
Right.
all the countries are very, very interlinked with each other. We have to engage with all the countries, and simultaneously we have to make our borders safe, and we have to ensure the security of the country. So for that, we have to engage with all the countries. So as far as AUKUS and Quad is concerned, it's basically both these groups, they have formed not against Russia as such, but to contain Chinese
To
influence
contain
in
China. Right.
Asia, especially in the southern Asia. So it has less to do with Russia, and it has more to do with China. So I don't think there should be any problem as such, any irritability as such. This There can be discomfort, or there can be apprehensions on the
Mhm.
part of Russian establishment. But irritability, I don't think so, because if there had been some irritability, then Putin wouldn't have come. This visit
Right.
happened. Putin's visit happened in this month only. So
This
Putin
month.
also understands. See, Putin is also very hardcore under real politics, realist politician. So he
Right.
also understands that protecting its interest is not bad, as far as the other countries' interests are not harmed. And Russians are also feeling threat of Chinese aggression, because they know that the Russians are also next to China. So if
Hmm.
the China can done with this with India, it
Yeah.
can do this with other countries, then Russia could also be next target.
Right.
So I don't think it will cause irritability, but yes, it is a discomfort or apprehensive, I would say. It's not a irritability. So
Well,
that's
thank you
the
so much, Rachit, for coming to our show, and you gave us great insights over Indo-Russian relations. So I would like
okay.
to end it here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.